Wondering about those hard to pronounce tea games? Well, I'm going to rank my favorites. Thank you for joining me at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Melissa Delp. Over the last few years, there have been several games published in what some people are calling the Tea series, and normally Teotihuacan, Tekhenu, and Tawantisuyu are on that list because they're all published by Board and Dice. They all have names that start with T, and they share some of the same designers. So in this video, I'm going to be ranking these games plus 2 other tea games. Those are going to be Tzolk'in and Trismigistus, and these also have some of the same designers. Before we jump in, I want to tell you a little bit of my general gaming likes and dislikes. I usually like point salads. Give me lots of ways to score points and avenues to explore. My complexity sweet spot is probably medium to medium heavy and about 2 hours for game length. As far as player interaction goes, I'm okay with a little bit of it, but I'm also perfectly fine with multiplayer solitaire. I just really don't want you to mess with my stuff. For randomness, a little bit is okay. Of the input and output type, I prefer input, where it might be something like an event card that flips at the beginning of the round, and then I have to adjust my strategy to that random element. I enjoy that usually more than planning my turn and then rolling dice to see if I actually succeed. So now that you know a little bit about me and my likes and dislikes, let's take a look at these games. I'm going to list them from my favorite to least favorite, and then I'm also going to let you know what Kevin thought about the games because, spoilers, we are not in agreement. So of this semi-arbitrary list of hard to pronounce tea games, let's start with number 1. Tzolk'in the Mayan Calendar. This is published by CGE, and it's actually the oldest game on this list, and it's the one that I have played the most. I really enjoy the timing aspect of this game with the gears that you're putting your workers on, and then you're leaving them on there as long as you can to get the best actions. I like that you can sort of combo things, take one off here to get the resources you need to then take the action on the other gear. I enjoy the fact that there are different ways to score points. You have the skulls, you have the temple track, buildings, and monuments. There's also the technology track that you can choose to invest in to make your actions more powerful. Recently, I've played with the Tribes and Prophecies expansion, and I enjoy the asymmetrical player powers that it introduces and the prophecy track. All in all, I think that Tzolk'in just fits perfectly in my medium weight Euro category with a little bit of point salad going on. So that's why it's my number 1. Tekhenu, Obelisk of the Sun. This game and the rest of the ones we're going to talk about are published by Board and Dice. This one is another point salad. There are tons of ways to get points in this game, and I really enjoy going after the cards. You can get more technologies and you can get more endgame scoring cards that way. This game has dice drafting, and I like that the dice are multi-use. You can either use them to get resources or to take the action from the place that they're in. There's also the ability to plan some in this game because you're going to turn that obelisk and it's going to change the time of day, the way the sun is shining on those dice, and it's going to lock and unlock certain ones. You know when it's going to turn, you know which dice are going to be placed in the different areas, so you can kind of plan ahead for that. just as long as other players don't take the die that you really wanted. This game just really clicked with me as I was playing. I could think ahead and see what I needed to do, which resources, which areas I needed to go to get points. There are only 16 turns in this game though, so you have to be efficient and you have to get resources as you're doing other things. I really like the challenge and the little bit of a puzzle aspect to this game. This one's gonna make it in my top 10 for 2020, I'm positive. Teotihuacan, City of the Gods. This is another game with dice used in interesting ways. They're your workers and you're going to be taking them around the board, which is kind of like a rondel. And as you use them, they're going to upgrade and get more powerful until eventually they reach 6 and then pass on and start over again at 1. I also like the pyramid that you have in this board. There's some nice aesthetics and tactile nature of working with that pyramid. I will say that I'm actually not very good at this game because I don't always think ahead quite enough, realizing, oh, this is the one I need to move, I need to upgrade this one, and tying everything in together. I do like that you can get points in different ways in this game. There are different avenues to explore, and I tend to diversify a little too much instead of really honing in to certain areas to get maximum points. I would classify this game as one that I would be happy to play if someone brings it out to the table and I'll enjoy it, but I'm not sure that it's one that I'll actually ask to play or bring out if it's my turn to choose. Tawantisuyu, the Inca Empire. Now, this one gets an asterisk because I have only played it once. And one of the reasons for that is my play group did not really enjoy it. Now, this is one of the heavier, maybe heaviest game of the group. And when you're learning it, there is a lot of iconography that you need to process. There's a lot going on the board, so there's a little bit of visual overload as you look at all of the icons for the actions and then the symbols for the different god cards. And just putting it all together can be difficult the first time. It did take us a long time. I think it was maybe over 3 hours for our very first game. It does have a nice player aid though that does walk you through almost everything in the game, the things that you can do. There are lots of ways to score points in this game and avenues to pursue, so it does fit into some of my likes for general gameplay. I am intrigued to potentially try this game some more. I'm not sure how many opportunities I'll have for that because I don't know if it's going to be easy for me to get it back to the table, but there were definitely interesting choices to make about where to put your workers, which workers to use, which cards to play that can limit where you can place your workers, or you can get weavings for points. There's lots and lots and lots of things you can do in this game, so it will take several plays to really get a handle. I do also want to mention that we have a Tantrum House promo for this game, some building tiles that you can get if you enjoy Tawantisuyu. You can find those tiles at gamefound.com. Now, this does have a lot of things I like, so it is possible that if I get a chance to play it some more, it could rise higher in my ranking. Trismigistus, the Ultimate Formula. This one probably vies with Tawantisuyu as being the heaviest game on this list. It has a really interesting theme to it, one that I enjoy with the transmuting of elements and kind of a little bit of maybe medieval-ish type of thing with it, with the alchemy. But for some reason, this game just doesn't work as well for me personally. It has a lot of things I like. It has dice drafting, it has the multi-use of the dice depending on the symbols and the colors. but it was just a little bit too much for me to process. The symbology, I think, was not quite as intuitive, so my brain had to think a little bit more to figure out, okay, what actions can I do with this die? And then the aspect of using the dice, depending on how many are in it, when you take it, you're getting more action points, and having to calculate how many action points do I want to spend on getting resources or transmuting. It was just a little bit too much for me to process. It did give me a little bit of AP, analysis paralysis, trying to maximize that. So it wasn't easy for me to quickly calculate the best move or how many actions I should allocate to the different things that I was doing. So that's why this one is at the bottom of my list. It's one I would still play, but again, not my favorite. I prefer all of the others before this one, which is kind of interesting because when Kevin gave me his list, he actually put Trismigistus at the top as his favorite. So here's Kevin's rankings of these games. Like I mentioned, Trismigistus was his number one. He really likes the theme and the transmutation of the elements and how the dice are used during the game. His second one was Tekhenu. Again, interesting use of the dice and how the obelisk moves and that tactile 3D element to the game. He has Tzolk'in as number 3. He enjoys playing it, but admits that he's not quite as good at the game. And actually, we just played it the other night, and I did beat him by 1 point. That one, it hurt a little bit for him. So his number 4 was Teotihuacan, City of the Gods. He liked the way that the dice move in the game and how as a player you can choose which die to activate, which one to move on your turn. And then, as we've sort of already mentioned, Tawantisuyu was not one that he really enjoyed. Again, I think it comes down to the learning game and just all of the symbols and a little bit of overload on the board with all of the symbology. So those are Kevin's rankings. You saw mine earlier. What do you think? Have you played any of these games? Which order would you put them in? Which is your favorite? Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.
Melissa, did you just order these board games by easiest to pronounce to hardest to pronounce?
No. I'm feeling a bit of a theme back here. The T is strong.